Hello again, guys. It's me, Ben, from the Pride of Villa, and I'm back on the channel. What a surprise! And it looks like I'm going to be taking over this channel for a little bit now, so I thought let's start off with a nice little tradition of Game Week predictions. We're going to be predicting all the matches from Game Week 14, giving you some of my thoughts into the results and seeing what I think the outcomes are going to be. So if you are going to enjoy this video, please leave a like, subscribe, let's hit the like spot going for my return back on the channel. You already know it. Obviously, give us a follow on our social medias on Twitter and Instagram as well, but without further ado, let's get started. So, the first fixture we go into is Crystal Palace versus Liverpool, and, this is a surprise result for both teams in the previous game. We obviously, Palace got a draw with West Ham for 1-1, whereas Liverpool went into probably the biggest game of the season so far in Tottenham, who are title contenders this season, doing really well to the season, but managing to get a late-minute winner with Firmino in ending that game in 2-1. I think Liverpool are going to steamroll this one. I just don't see Palace having enough quality here to get a result out of Liverpool. And I just think, simply put, the quality is just there with Liverpool compared to Crystal Palace. I think Eberechi is going to have a good game as well. But as I said, I just think Liverpool's front three is just going to completely overrun Crystal Palace. So I'm going to go with Crystal Palace 0, Liverpool 2. I think we're going to see goals from Firmino and probably Mane getting back on the score sheet. Next up, we have Southampton versus Manchester City, and this is, again, another interesting result to see what it's going to be. Obviously Southampton getting what you could say a bit of a disappointing result against Arsenal, managing to get a 1-1 draw there away from home, even though really they were the much better team until Arsenal got a lucky goal from Aubameyang. But Manchester City surprisingly got nearly outplayed by West Brom, who managed to come back and gain a draw in 1-1, which unfortunately resulted in the sacking of Slaven Bilic for some reason, which quite frankly makes no sense. This is going to be a very close game. Obviously Southampton are really high up in the table, doing really, really well this season compared to where they were last season, being beaten 9-0 from Leicester. Since then they've just completely... They've turned those brain lights on, just understood what they need to be doing as a team. And then you've got Manchester City, who are a shadow of their former self. They are not the same team that won the 100 points 2 seasons ago or 3 seasons ago. And really, it's just not the same team anymore. I just don't feel as threatening or as scary to play against Manchester City because so many teams are now able to work them out and they just don't have that same quality anymore. I think, again, I'm going to go with a draw here. I wouldn't be surprised if Man City was to come out of this. I can't really see Southampton winning it personally. I just don't think... the quality's there. It's the same with Manchester City's team. But then again, I can't really see either of these teams just coming out with a win. So I'm going to go Southampton 1, Man City 1. I think we'll see goals from Che Adams and probably Raheem Sterling. I think he needs to get back into that form and find some understanding of where he's actually going to be this season. If he's not going to be scoring those goals, he needs to be providing them assists because, quite frankly, Kevin De Bruyne can't be doing it all for Manchester City. Next up, we have Everton versus Arsenal. Now, Everton getting a really good result away from home, beating Leicester 2-0. Showing that they can bounce back in form, managing to get back-to-back wins, I believe, whereas Arsenal are just in a complete shambles, 15th in the league, and it looked like it was going to be the same night again with Southampton, but luckily they came back into it with a goal from Aubameyang, some brilliant play from Saka to get the ball into him, and potentially Arsenal have started to find some sort of rhythm, but I don't think really it's going to be there. It's ludicrous to think Arsenal are in this position at all. Considering the team they are, the stature of them, they are a natural Premier League team. So it'd just feel really wrong if they were to go down this season. But then again, we've got to look at Everton. Everton do like to turn up against these bigger teams. Again, last season, we had the really interesting 3-2 result away from when that Arsenal did win. But obviously, Everton were really pouncing at the doors and managing to get 2 quick goals out the quick gates. I think this is going to be... I think it's going to be another draw again. I don't see Everton really snatching the win here just because of Arsenal defensively. When they do turn out, they can be really good. But then again, Arsenal just looks so poor with the midfield lacking much creativity. You rush Thomas Partey out of injury, and what happens? He gets injured yet again in the North London derby. And without him, you're having to play Danny Ceballos, who doesn't create, El Neni, who doesn't create, and you're playing... you're relying on players that are just not good enough. Give people like Joe Willock, Reece Nelson a go, because they have shown some more creativity in the last 10 minutes than a lot of those players have shown for the 90. But I'm going to go for another draw here. I do think it's going to be 1-1. I think Dominic Calvert-Lewin's going to continue brilliant form in front of goal, and I think probably Lacazette will finally get a goal and just put some light into the problems with Arsenal, and perhaps we'll start to see a bit more of the Arteta out. Next up, it's Newcastle versus Fulham here. Now, Leeds getting a very, very good result against Newcastle, 5-2. Newcastle showing some really poor form and not really looking like they're going to score many goals. It's probably like 1 in 3 they'll get a win. But really, they've got to be on their top game. They've got to be performing more than 100% to get that result. Whereas Fulham have looked really good in the last 2 games. Obviously, to me, they should have won against Liverpool. I thought they were way much the better team. And although it was a 0-0 draw, a really decent point from Brighton, suggesting that there is more form. Obviously, Adam Lookman being Liverpool's best player right now, what a brilliant signing that was. They look a completely different team. Obviously, Loftus-Cheek with the stature of playing for Chelsea, a little bit of experience there, a little bit more quality. And I just think Fulham are actually going to get a result here, because I just think Newcastle are absolutely horrendous. So I'm going to go Fulham 2, Newcastle 1. I think Newcastle will get a goal, probably from Callum Wilson, if he is playing. If not, probably Joe Linton. But I think, Fulham just going to breeze past them and finally get some points, some momentum to try and get back into this league this season and try and steer away as far as they can from the relegation zone. Next up, we have a big game in Spurs versus Leicester. Obviously, Spurs coming out of the last game week, losing 2-1 to Liverpool, which was a really annoying game to watch, because, they do so well in the first 10 minutes. They've done really well this season. We're spending a lot of time in number 1 place. And then they come into the biggest game of the season so far. And for me, it was either team that was going to win this game, I think, would be considering as the real title winners. But they've just been defensive, and this is the problem. You have some brilliant players in Son, Kane, Bergwijn. You've got amazing midfield, a lot of depth there, and you're playing defensive when really should just be continuously going on the attack to prevent these type of situations. And really, they got what they deserved when they lost 2-1. Whereas Leicester obviously lost 2-0 to Everton at a really poor display. I think the Europa League is having their effect on them. But something that I've also been saying with Leicester, the lack of squad depth, it just really feels like, apart from the first team, apart from maybe a bit of Pratt or Harvey Barnes, there's not really much depth in that team, and I think they need to be investing a bit more in that. And if Jamie Vardy, his time's coming up soon, they need to perhaps start looking at better options, because Iheanacho is not the choice up front. But I'm going to go with a Spurs win here. I just don't see Leicester really having that quality. I think Jamie Vardy will still score, but I think it's going to be Harry Kane and the Son link up again. I'm going to go 3-1 for Spurs here. I just think they're going to breeze past them, get over the results at Liverpool, and really get themselves back on the tail and back on the march for the title. Next up, we have Man United versus Leeds. Now, last night, Man United beating Sheffield United 3-2 in a really poor display, but still managing to show that player quality is better. Obviously, Fernandes really manning the ship for United. And then, obviously, Leeds getting amazing results against Newcastle with that 5-2. This is going to be a bit of a rivalry. Obviously, we know Manchester United and Leeds have had this trouble in the past before, so this is a really exciting time for, if you're a Leeds fan or Man United fan, because you're going to be fine playing Leeds again in the Premier League. And we're just going to be really excited to see what happens there. It really depends if Leeds can turn up, because I think Leeds can do a job here, because Manchester United's defence is woeful. But then again, Man U have got a brilliant front three that can, as Mark Goldbridge say, push for a title charge. But they need a better defence, and then I think Leeds need a bit more in midfield and perhaps a better attacking line. I'm going to go for a draw here. I just don't see either quality managing to get the win here, just because they're both going to be going for it so much. I think it's just two parallel forces going at each other. I'm going to go 2-2 here. I think we're going to see Rashford and Fernandes get some goals, and I think Bamford and probably we'll go Hernandez get back on the pitch and try and get himself back into a win forward. But do watch this game. I'll bet you it's going to be a really brilliant game of football. Obviously, the rivalry we said. Let's hope it turns out the way that we'd like it to be. Next up, we have our boys. We have West Bromwich Albion versus Aston Villa, and okay, so West Brom, obviously, they got the draw against Manchester City, perhaps the best point of the season. And what do? They go and sack Slaven Bilic and bring in Sam Allardyce 24 hours after sacking him. which is quite frankly a stupid decision. You know, you're only giving him 40 million to work with, which isn't enough for the Premier League. You need at least 60 million plus to get some good players, because quite frankly, West Brom still look like the Championship side. Not many changes and not really anything apart from Ivanovic. Really, that's not going to improve him. He's too old as it is and really should be retiring from the game. But obviously, with Sam Allardyce, they'll be looking for some sort of reaction, and perhaps they could be seeing it here against Aston Villa and try and mount out of that relegation zone. And then we come to Aston Villa. I'm going to be going into a video of this separately. We're going to be talking about why. All about this result, but essentially what a poor 90 minutes of football it was. Not because of the effort is there. We were a much better team, obviously dominated the game for the whole 90 minutes. Burnley cannot score for their life, but as we said, Aston Villa, the finishing is dreadful. Without Grealish, we're not really. El Ghazi, you know, there's so many times he gets that ball and he's just, you know what he's going to do. He's either going to go short and straight the goalie or to him wide over. Traore is more one-footed than a donkey. It's poor with Traore. And then Watkins is not really getting the service, but when he is, I don't think he's really maximising his opportunities. But I still do believe in Aston Villa, obviously. I believe we're going to be having Luis back. We're going to have Cash back. Hopefully Barkley and Trezeguet will be coming back, so hopefully we'll be seeing that ultimate 11 that we wanted to see. And I think overall, really, for Villa, this is going to be not only a breeze over, but it also needs to be a really massive 3 points if we want to, you know, at least have a win in hand with 2 games ahead. I think we are going to breeze past them personally, so I'm going to go Aston Villa 2, West Brom 1. I think West Brom probably will get a goal from Carl and Graham, but I think Jack Grealish and Ollie Watkins will hopefully reevaluate us, get us back on the map, find us some form, and hopefully we continue with that running form into a really good season for Aston Villa and hopefully get us back to that top half of the table. Next up, we have Burnley versus Wolves. Obviously, just talked about Burnley versus Aston Villa, really poor. Burnley not looking like they could score a goal for their life, really poor. Apart from some brilliant plays from McNeil and Brownhills, they're not really looking like they're going to be creating much, so this may be a struggle for them against the Wolves team that likes to press on their enemies, really put the pressure on them and really hit them on the counter. Obviously getting that brilliant winner, bring at home to Chelsea 2-1 in the last minutes with Pedro Neto and Podence, who's looking like 2 massively brilliant players for Wolves, but they need more time. And I think simple, this is just going to be a Wolves fan. I think they're going to breeze past them. Burnley just do not have enough quality in that team. I'm going to go Wolves 2-0. Podence, probably Adam Traore are going to get it. Burnley, I think the time's up. I really think unless they spend some big money in the window, which they're probably not going to do because of the transfer budget, I think they're going to be relegated down to the Championship. And I think Wolves will hopefully continue this good form, try and get back in the top 6, trying to get some Europa League football, and then hopefully not only in January, but trying to invest that squad, improve the squad depth, and we'll see a bit more quality going forward. Because really, Fabio Silva's not going to be doing it, and we don't know when Jimenez is going to be coming back, so we need a bit more going forward. And finally, we end this game week predictions on Chelsea versus West Ham. Obviously, Chelsea losing 2-1 to Wolves, and then West Ham drawing with Palace 1-1. Now, this is going to be, I think, quite a poor game. You could look at it and say, well, Chelsea's going to breeze past them. They've got the quality there. But, you know, West Ham do like to turn up in games, although perhaps the results are not going their way. They have been a pretty decent season so far. I think this is going to be a very close and cagey game. I think this is going to be another draw. I'm going to go with Chelsea 1, West Ham 1. I hope Sadio Brom gets a start because he has been improving that West Ham team whenever he has come on. And then Chelsea, I think it's just a matter of can they find Kai Havertz some form? Is Ziyech going to be able to produce? You know, can Timo Werner step up, or is he perhaps not as good as we thought he was? Will Pulisic, Captain America, be able to step up to the plate? Who knows? But West Ham have also got to argue that, well, can we do it against a Big Six team? Can we beat Haller? Can we use Bed-Rama to our advantage? I think they're going to hopefully get a draw out of it. And I think really it's going to be, although a boring game of football, I think both these teams are going to look at it as a fair reflection of points. Alright guys, that's going to wrap it up this game week prediction. Just before we do end, I just want to give a massive thank you to Nathan, obviously, for doing a lot of the videos on the channel as of late and really just keeping it alive as much as we can. I am being really busy, so that was probably to explain why I just don't appear on the channel much. But don't worry, over these next few weeks, I'm hopefully going to be posting a bit more. And obviously, do tune in. I am going to be making another video on talking about Aston Villa versus Burnley as to why just what happened to Aston Villa. Why were we so woeful in that game? But if you did enjoy this video and that in your video, please leave it a like. Please share this with your friends. Let's get the channel some buzz again. Let's please subscribe to the channel. Obviously, turn the notification bell on so you never miss out on new content. Follow us on our social pages. Be sure to tell us what you'd like to see in the comments down below. And without further ado, I've been Ben, up the Villa with the pride of Villa. I'll see you later, boys.